It was bound to happen. You turn on your headlights and they don't work. We'll stay tuned and we'll walk through one of the more common problems with 87 to 88 Fiero, 87 to 92 Firebird, and 88 to 96 C4 Corvette headlight assemblies.
Toys for life.
First thing we always want to do when working electrical is disconnect the battery. Well, let's tackle the driver's side headlight here. So what we got to do is remove this whole assembly out of this late model Fiero. These are the same for 87 and 88. One screw here, one actually nut here, and there's two on the bottom underneath that you'll have to get to, and disconnect the wiring harness and pull the whole assembly out so we can work on it on the bench. Okay, we've got all four bolts out. Disconnected the wires and then just carefully fish this out from its house. And we'll just go put this on the bench where it'll be easier to work on the motor. So here's the bolts. You got the top two and the bottom ones I was talking about are down low here. Okay, we've got the motor on the bench, and actually here's the motor, and with what you saw in the previous video with the headlight kind of bobbing up and down a little bit when you turn it on, generally what I found is there's these plastic pucks, they call them, inside this little housing where the gears are, and they like to disintegrate over 20 to 30 years. I've had good success with replacing those little plastic pucks with fuel line. So let's take this apart and see what it looks like inside the gear case. We're on the last bolt here. Get that one out of the way. Pull the motor and gear case aside, and we'll set the headlight off to the side here. Oddly enough, while everything else is a 10mm that we've used so far, these three cover bolts are a 1/4 inch. Apparently they didn't get the metric memo. So as usual, when you pull this out, you get a pile of disintegrated plastic, and what needs to be in there, you can see the round part here and the round part here. It needs to be a little rubber puck in each corner. Kind of dampens the movement of it going up and down and between the motor and everything else to kind of dampen things. So we're going to cut some hose and I'll show you where those go. So basically all I'm using for this to work is 5/16 inch fuel line. I've cut several little pieces of it, 3 to be exact, and you can see where they are. And I know this looks a little rinky-dink, but I can tell you this, I've done a few of these and they're going about 4 or 5 years so far without a problem. So to me it's good enough. If you just can't get past the fuel line solution, Rodney Dickman Products sells these little pucks. It's $10 for 3 of them, and you can order those instead. Now we just have to try to get this to close carefully and get those pucks inserted in the grooves that they go in. Okay, we've got them in there, they're tight. The aluminum is compressed all the way. It's about the perfect height, so then when I put this cover back on, it closes all the way. You don't want it to have to compress it with this cover because it'll probably break these tabs off. So we're good. We're going to tighten this thing back up and put it together. All right, we got the motor right back where it belongs. Everything's bolted in. Let's go throw it in the car and see if it works. Headlights back where it belongs. Now it's time for the moment of truth. Success. This is the passenger side. It's a little different. So I've already done this part where you take this out and the gears out, but in order to get the gears out on this side, you have to pop the motor away from the assembly. And it's a little tricky to get these brushes back in. I'll show you that in a second. And also, at the bottom here, there's a little ball bearing that if you're not careful, you'll lose it. Make sure when you put it back together, you got a dab of grease on the tip of the shaft for the ball bearing, plus it's magnetic. I'll show you how to do the brushes here in a second. The first time I ever did it, it was pretty hard, but once you figure it out, it's a piece of cake. Can you hold that? You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Hold it more. Pull it back more. Got it? Do not let go. I can take this from you. Okay. Okay, Big J, that's good.
Alrighty.
Hey guys, that's a wrap on the Firebird Fiero Corvette Common Headlight Repair. Please remember to share, like, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.